Hey guys. Hi Craig and Mark. Sorry, daylight saving time's mucked you up. Queensland doesn't have it for some crazy reason. I'm not sure why. Hey Chris, Kevin, Stefan, g'day. Tommy, David. How is everyone? There's not much happening here. You're not going to get a really very put together or organized live stream because I'm crazy busy flat out here. And I've been tonight just messing around on this pattern again. And probably while we go, I'm going to be doing a little bit more as well. So this is probably more a pattern making stream than a gossip and news and show and tell stream tonight. Hope that's okay. First business though, I got a nice little letter from Craig Marshall. This is awesome. This is kind of cute actually. Thanks Craig. It's really nice. Yeah, I'm not sure that's me, but thanks for that. And a couple of Craig's Workshop stickers. Thanks, Craig. I found them. They were right here on the bench under my nose last week, though. I haven't moved them any, and I went looking for them tonight, and I found them. So they were right there. If I'd moved something, I may have found them. But that's awesome. Check out Craig Marshall's Craig's Workshop. He's building a bandsaw at the moment. It's a pretty cool build. There's a surprising number of you who are self-employed and trying to make workshops pay. Don't rely on your YouTube channel. Just that's a heads up. Now, pattern making. We're on this pattern making deep dive this week. These things happen. I don't know how. For some reason, something's not quite right here with my camera rail. Sorry, we're getting a bit of a shake there. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I apologize for that. Not sure. Anyway. Oh, there it is. We got it. I'm going to fix that. Right. Now, that's got to be a bit better. Hey, John. Now, Good of the Land Fest. The Good of the Land Fest is in, gosh, I believe North Texas. Someone's going to correct me on that. I did just look it up before I got on stream, but I can't remember already. Justin's channel, Justin Marriott, The Good of the Land. He's got a restoration channel. Great guy. Met him a couple of times. Really nice guy. Awesome person to hang with, and awesome drive. Hey, Paddy. He has had an event for a couple of years now at a little museum in Texas. This time it's going a bit bigger. And my friend Clark Easterling with the foundry, Windy Hill Foundry, was lamenting that he seemed to have a fairly steep workload and not enough time to do it, because the Good of the Land Fest on the 26th of October, which is only, oh gosh, 16 days away or something. Yeah, it's in America. Temple, Texas. Thanks, Chris. And hey, Robbie, g'day. Good to see you. Looking for progress on that truck, Robbie, and I haven't seen any yet, so expect an update forthwith. Anyway, Clark was lamenting that he never really got enough time to do things, and he had a pretty steep workload, and he's not feeling real well, and etc., 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 and he had other stuff to do. So I said, can I help? Anyway, he says, hey, Stephen. He says, you could make a pattern. Well, he didn't say that, but I offered to. And I'm 3/4 of the way there this weekend. I've spent 2 days on this roughly, or a day and a half maybe. Probably a day by the time everything glued up. And this is what I've got. Now, the design brief is that we need an anvil. It's got to have a Good of the Land logo on the side. And it's got to weigh in at about 20 pounds, so 10 kilos, something like that, in cast iron. It's only for decorative uses, really. Although I've sort of thought about this, and in iron, with a reasonable bit of work with some sandpaper, with a file and some finishing stuff and a coat of paint, it's probably a nice little bench anvil. Hey, Sparrow. So that's what I've got. This is... Hey, Raymond. I cut this out of MDF, which is pretty basic. And then I laminated 3 pieces of plywood I had here onto that, and I've cut all this out, and then I made a couple of pieces of pine here with a radius this way and a radius this way, and glued them on and cleaned all this up. And I've got what looks to be pretty good proportions for an anvil. I think I'm really quite pleased with that. There's a knot fell out of the pine here, so I've put a piece of dowel in there and drilled it right through. This is actually a little piece of... Don't look too close at the woodwork, Craig. I'm a bit ashamed of it. It's a pretty quick job here. Little piece of pine that's glued on here. And it's got 2 dowels through the top there to hold it in place. So that's all glued in place. And then this is cut out here to fit around, and it's got a screw through the top. Have a look at the other one, which I've just more or less glued on. It's not real pretty at all. Kind of had to make it fit the other one, and there's a bit of messing around. But I've just glued this one in, and you can see the screw there. So that's how that's made. It's pretty straightforward. Absolutely on the surface grinder. They're both very messy machines, but the surface grinder is more fun probably, and a lot less hard work. But putty and paint's the answer. And like Raymond says, this has got some fairly complicated... Hi, Bob. Some fairly complicated draft angles in here. Because this is curved, we've got to have this draft here, and I've mucked this up and put it the wrong way in here. So I've filled that in there, and this needs to be tapered that way towards the front so that it lifts out and it's bigger or smaller on the outside than the inside all round. So I think I've got that right. I'm just messing with that. Like all my patterns, this has got 2 sliding dowels, so you can push them through to locate it in place, and we'll glue them later and put some plugs in them, or you can push it back so you don't sand the ends off them if you're cleaning this up, or you want to set it flat on the bench to glue it or measure it. So that's generally what I do. and this fits together like this. So it's a fairly nice little pattern. We haven't quite got, if we push that together, these don't quite line up here as well as they could. I think one of them's moving because they did line up there. We might push a little packer under here just to bring this one round here so that they do line up. It's a fairly complicated little piece to make up, so it's all symmetrical, but it's not far out there. But Craig, yeah, I'll definitely put a new pin in there. The draft angle is nowhere near 10 degrees because it's going to it probably is getting close on here. It's probably 5 or 6 on here. But this angle here I've kept to a minimum, 3 or 4, because this is going to have to be machined off and this is going to have to be machined off. And in cast iron, it's a fair bit of work to run a cutter over that, even with a big mill, in about an hour at an event somewhere when you're trying to talk to someone. So I've kept it as flat as I can so that it'll still come out. That's the theory. Robbie Clark says he's going to find the centre of gravity and put a hole in here for lifting it out. He can do that. My general procedure is to make a brass bush that screws in the right place on the centre of gravity so that it's balanced and will lift out with a 1/4 inch thread in it. So you can put a bolt in it, or you can screw it to a frame to lift it out. I'm not even going to do that. He's going to put an 8th hole in here, and he's got a screwdriver handle with a self-tapping screw in it. It's probably the best for that. Hey, Adam. So I think that's starting to look all right. It needs a fair bit of filler. I'm going to probably fill this or make a piece to go in here. I don't know if you can see that, but I think this wants to continue around here, something like this for that long. So that piece in there, it wants a curved piece in there just to give that the shape round down there. That's the next part. And it needs a fair bit of work with some sandpaper and a coat of undercoat. And there's a comment about 3D printing stuff like this. I refer you to Mr. Pete's Anvil video for my opinion on 3D printing patterns. He sums it up very nicely, and he's right on the same page as me. So that's where we're at. Shout out to Chirpy for sending a couple of tins of Durham's. It's good stuff. I'm falling in love with it. It is excellent. And we'll put a bit more of that in there, but I don't think I'm going to fill this entirely with Durham's. I'm going to put a little piece of wood in there just so it doesn't fall out later. It's only got to get wet in the rain somewhere, and the timber will shrink and everything will fall out, so it will swell up or whatever. I really don't like that much. So there we go. That's what I've been working on. That's pretty crazy, but hopefully tomorrow night, Saturday night, probably Sunday, we're going to have it looking. Hey Dave. I'm not sure. I haven't seen Poppy. Hi, Chirpy. We were just talking about you. So that's where we're at with that. And I'm sort of thinking they're going to be all right. If someone Yeah, this big tin of Durhams. Thank you, Chirpy. I really appreciate that. The two of those that turned up, they're a lifesaver. Better go watch Poppy's video. Hey, Rustnox, g'day. Good to see you. I don't know if you can hear this, but hi from me. What else? If anyone knows how to convert a JPEG, a very simple JPEG logo, which is just a mono two-color logo with bold lines on it, into a STL file with some sort of extrusion on it, 3mm high, could you please get in touch with me or leave a comment so I can email you, or can we talk? I would really, really appreciate someone to do that. Really would. It's something that I'm not very good at. So if anyone can convert a Justin's logo into an STL, it's only got to be fairly small. Thanks, Chirpy. You've lost me completely. But it's quite simple little logo, and I just want to make a 3D print to screw on here. It's probably the quickest and easiest way to do it, and then I fill it up with body filler and smooth it all off. For those who are coming late, this is for Good of the Land Fest on the 26th of October in Texas. There you go. Chris did say whereabouts in Texas, but yeah, I've forgotten already again. I've never been there. That can's blocking the supply. So there you go. How's that? 5400. How awesome is that? What a great bunch of people you are. Temple. It is Temple or Temple? Temple. Temple, Texas. I will chase it up. I'll chase up Inkscape. Thanks for everyone who gave me the heads up on that. If I don't have any luck, someone else can do it for me, and that'd be very much appreciated. That count is still climbing about 4 or 5 a day, so that's awesome. I think it's Temple because I did look it up. It's Temple. It's at the tractor club there. It seems to be a pretty big ground from what I've seen of it. Anyway, Clark Easterling's casting these in iron as a raffle ticket. So if you go into Good of the Land Fest, a lot of big YouTubers going to be there. A-Bomb's going to be there. I know Stan's traveling down, I think. Probably James Kilroy and Gary Cood and everyone else from the southern part of the USA. Should be an awesome event. But Clark's going to cast these in iron, and there's going to be a raffle giveaway for one of them at least. So pretty awesome thing to have a raffle ticket in. And I'm doing the pattern, so there we go. Wish I could go too. I'd love to be there. I'd love to get on a plane tomorrow and go, but it's not going to happen. Even if someone bought me tickets, I really can't, in all good conscience, just up and leave. But anyway. Don't know what else. We ought to put this sticker up before I forget, because I have been sort of a bit lax about it. Let's point this up here somewhere. At Craig's workshop. Where are we going to put this one? Your event looks pretty good too, Chirpy. I saw the announcement. That sounds pretty good fun. Hope to see a video. There's not a lot of room on this board. Ooh. I think that's on the board. There we go. That's fair enough, Chirpy. Chris, I have got a second board. It's over at the mill, but this will do for a bit. Anyway, so that's all that's happening, really. I'm going to try and get some filler in these tonight. This might need to dry a bit. I've only just glued it up and screwed it together in the last half hour. This one could do with a bit of filler in it. It's a pretty chunky little pattern, really. It's all good. You're only on top of me, and you're on top of Brad Jacobs, which isn't a bad sort of effort, but this one's Brad Jacobs too. So he's got 2 stickers there. We might have to start crowding these in a little bit closer or putting an extension on or something. We'll see how we go. Chirpy, you're right on with it. Yeah, you only find James Kilroy's sticker a little bit later on. That's very true. Robbie's got that. Shrinkage. The thickness and shrinkage is going to happen. Yeah, but it's iron, so I'm sort of thinking as long as it keeps its shape and it takes a while to cool down, it'll make it machinable. It shouldn't end up with a bad casting, but if it's a fraction smaller, it really won't hurt anything. He's going to cast one before the event just to get all the wrinkles out of it. So hopefully we'll be able to see some results at some point. It's a fairly chunky little pattern, like you say. There's no precision with this one. It's pretty quick right off the bat, easy. Looks good, sort of a pattern. That's all we're aiming for, really. If we put this together again, this has probably moved again as well, so I'm not sure why it's done that. I reckon if I left it, it's going to shrink and move overnight. But I might just put another shim in here just to prop it round in the right spot. I think it's the way the screws in the job. So anyway, so it probably needs a huge big riser. What's so good about the Durham's putty? It's easy to sand. It mixes with water. It's in a powder form. All the Australian and New Zealand guys who've never seen this. This is an American thing. Mr. Pete swears by it, and so does Chirpy, and so does Chris, so does Clark. It's in a powder. It looks like powdered milk. I don't think that I'd probably put it in my coffee, to be honest. It dries fast. It's nice and easy to sand. It's about like sanding pine. There's no hard spots in it, and it's not like body filler where the wood disappears and then the filler tends to stay in place. I kind of like it. I really do. It comes in a cardboard tube, which is environmentally friendly, I guess. Don't know if putty is, but the tube is. And let's have a look here. Durham's Rock Hard All Round Champ. That's him there, see? Rock Hard Water Putty. And some Spanish. Sticks, stays put. Will not shrink much. Dries to a natural cream colour. Because of its hardness, it will not take most surface stains. It can be coloured by mixing with a dry pigment, water-based stain, or water-based paint. Don't know what else to say about it. It patches plaster, repairs furniture, fills knot holes. It's always good. Mould struggle figurines, so I haven't used it for that yet. But I kind of like it. And Chirpy got me a couple of big boxes when I was in America, so that's what it says, Chirpy. You can actually sculpt or mould the stuff. So I don't know. We might see how it works in a rubber mould. Anyway, that's about me tonight. That's half hour. It's probably about half hour longer than anyone needed. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all my new subscribers. Thanks for being patient while I get on with this anvil project. Thanks for all the advice. I really appreciate that, and appreciate you all kind of tuning in with ideas about what I can do for converting that logo and concerns and things about that. It's really good to get some feedback on that. And more soon. Be kind to each other.